My role at my agency is I'm the founder and also I'm the chief strategist. As a chief strategist and also the senior management of the company, I'm responsible or overseeing the whole operation of the company, the strategic direction of the company, so that make sure that everything is in line and then we deliver our promise. This is very important. How our agency structure is very different from the other typical agency. We actually take the very fluid format so that everyone in the office can contribute to a campaign or to a development of a plan. So if anyone interested in this particular project, they can raise their hands and then we can bring them into the brainstorming session. In terms of the team managers, we have people specialized in different, like maybe digital and social, maybe in PR contents, maybe in experiential, maybe in events. So we have different team leaders. And every time we will, according to the project and the client nature and the request, then we'll pull the team together to form a special team to deliver the project. So that's how we do things, and basically I'm staying on top to make sure everything is in line with the objective, within timeline and budget, make sure we deliver results, and that is my day-to-day role. To work in an agency, I would say that it's really fantastic because in my experience, it's never a dull moment. You get to work on different industries, client brands, different tasks and different projects. You get to meet different people. So to me, it's very exciting. To work in an agency, you have to understand you're creating campaigns that can make or break a brand. You have a lot of influence on the brand and even like how you impact the marketplace. For instance, like if you're doing like a charity brand, if you're hospitals, like you can create a lot of impact in the community, get people talking about contributing, helping, so you can actually make some changes in the society. So it's very fascinating that you actually get a lot of influence in the culture of a society. The agency business has actually changed a lot in the last 3 decades because of the influx of technologies, trends and cultures, and also in terms of the demographics we have now in terms of the population. To simplify, I would like to summarize the agency structure. Basically, it composed of 3 key areas. One is the strategist. So the strategist or the senior management will be like equivalent to operating a vessel. You have the captain. Okay, so the captain will decide where the vessel will steer, and go, and how to operate. And then you have the helmsman who steer the ship. Okay, so they will be the one who actually produce plan, use the expertise to develop plans and projects, do research, do creative. So you have the management team, creative team. Those will be the people who actually put together like where the campaign goes. And then the third one, you have a lot of support people. Those will be like sailors, and they will be the execution team. Whether you're placing an ad, you are doing like artwork design, or you're printing something, you're delivering experience in a marketing campaign. Those will be the sailors who actually execute and deliver the campaign. Marketing is very diverse, so I would have to say that in a typical project, say for instance like a brand marketing campaign for a brand product, what we'll do is first of all, we have to find out the DNA of the brand. We usually ask the client, if I tell people about your brand, tell me what it is and what it means, what it represents, what kind of key message you want to project, or brand image you want to project to people. So we have to identify the DNA and be agreeable on it first. Is it practical? Is it realistic? Don't overclaim on something that you cannot deliver. So this is very important, is to find the DNA and agree with the client, what is your DNA? And then the next step is then we start to map out the big picture. Okay, it's like creating a roadmap from A to B, and doing this, what will take us from point A to point B. So to map out this campaign, you need to have a lot of people involved. First of all, you have to form your own team in terms of what, as I mentioned earlier, you have to pick the right people to form this team. What is the team about? What kind of expertise we need? Then we pull the team together. Same thing at the client side. If they have a campaign rollout, they have to pull the team together too. Who is the people in the back office? Who is the front office? Who is the one who deliver to the consumer? They have to do that because I have experienced that a client have magical plan, but they forgot the front line. So the product was not available when they had the campaign. So There's no point you can measure the success because campaign was successful, but product were not there. So you have to be careful that every elements have to be integrated well in order to have a successful campaign. So when we map out the campaign, we have to determine all these elements and then have alignment with the client saying, okay, these are all ready, let's go. So in the plan, we usually have to formulate a strategy, clearly define the target audience, what are the measurable objectives, what are the timeline, and what are the resources and money available to do this. We also have to do like a situation analysis to understand the competitive scene and also what are the strengths of our client, what are the weaknesses. Then we actually put together a proposal, map out all the details. We also have to formulate some tracking system, what we call performance matrix. So you can actually keep reviewing on the go, and also at the end of the project, you can tell client that are we successful, have we delivered. So those are the key elements when you start putting together a campaign. I would like to point out the challenges sometimes when we're doing this like campaign planning. A lot of time we work with clients who might not be that sophisticated. That can be the case when it's a new startup or entrepreneur. It's not like a major corporations, or even major corporations when they have too many stakeholders. It can be very confusing sometimes among themselves. So when a client gave us like an agency brief, even if they don't have one, we'll urge them to give us one. We'll work out the agency brief so that we can map out all those like objective, goals, timeline, budget, etc. But on top of that, like a lot of time when we receive the agency brief, we will have to identify where are the holes, because there are always some holes that the client forgot to mention or to include or to look at. So in the big picture, there are always some missing pieces that we have to fill the holes. So we'll have to ask a lot of questions. We may have to, in the back end, do a lot of research and findings. And the most important thing is, a lot of times when you have to set up a performance matrix, you have to have numbers to support you. When you do a recommendation, you also have to have numbers to support you. So from the agency point of view, we need to dig into a lot of numbers before we can actually put the plan together. To summarize, marketing is we are in a communication and audience relation building business. If you don't define very clearly in terms of your objective, your target audience, the message you want to get across, how you want to get across, and how to track and measure so that you can have the follow-up campaign or the next stage campaign, you're not going to have a successful campaign because you don't know where you're heading to. Just like I said earlier, you need a roadmap. And this roadmap will keep expanding to the next phase, because no campaign will just do one-off and stop there.
CMA Next. Find your path, find what's next.